And I would like to introduce Hitesh. He's from all the way from India, and he's about to talk about product owner vision and challenges. Sorry, I have to read this. It's very long for me. Managing agile projects and organizational objectives. So this is, I'm looking forward to this talk. And just the thing that's interesting about Hitesh is that he likes to play cricket, and he's a singer. He sings. And he started these clubs. He calls them humor clubs, where they just meet with friends and make jokes. And it's very interesting. Um, the not so interesting thing about him is that he's the managing director of a company back in India, and he's a Scrum Master. And I mean, like, you look at his profile, he's been working for 27 years in this space and working with about 250 plus organizations. So if we talk about experience, this is what it looks like. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for the kind words, and welcome everybody to this afternoon. I hope you had a good tea, and you can call me Hitesh. I'm going to talk about product owner challenges. I've worked with several product owners in many countries looking at what they want to achieve, how to set up the goals, objectives, metrics, measurements, and their overall responsibilities to managing the teams from the perspective of their specific goals. So there's some good digestion after tea. I'm going to give you some jargons so that so we'll use some of these like product owner, product backlog, knowledge, skill and trait, management by walking or wandering around, voice of customer, process improvements, return on investment, business analyst, knowledge management, subject matter expert, customer satisfaction, many more. A little assumption is that everybody knows Agile here because I'll be using some of these terms while describing the role of the product owner. Some inspirations for product owner. If a company's own research does not make a product obsolete, another's will. So the product owner has to either invent, invest, innovate, or perish. New features have to get added to the product. Good business leaders create a vision, articulate the vision, and passionately own the vision, and relentlessly drive it to completion. When people truly share a vision, and that's where the ownership of the product owner comes into picture, he makes the vision visible to the whole team. They are connected, bound together by a common aspiration. Let's look at a product owner's typical profile. So how many of you are product owners here? Oh, very good. Any chief product owners? Okay. Testers? Scrum masters? Oh, many. The rest of you are really nice, okay? Good. The product owner is mostly a full-time leadership role. It's a decision-making role. And he has to assure his availability to the team, to review the work, feedbacks, retrospective meetings. His commitment defines the scope and the depth of ownership. Sitting at the top, it is really necessary that he engages with the team on a day-to-day, on periodic basis, and reviews the progress. He should have a solid understanding of the user's product, domain, marketplace, competitive positioning. His profile, role, responsibility, authority very much varies with different organizations. Depends upon the type, size, structure of the organization, its verticals, and his responsibility varies when he or she is an owner of the product, or sometimes owner of a big component, or a feature. Thank you. Well, in one of the previous workshops, I was using he as a product owner, and there was a big uproar. Okay. So later on, I improvised and started using she, and then there was a silent uproar. Okay. So I've replaced that with PO, and sometimes I'll use he and sometimes she. Okay. Right now we limit it to 2. Okay. So a product owner can have an amalgamated role that unites the authority and the roles and responsibility of customer or a senior management, sponsor, marketer, a CXO. That responsibility, which designation takes up the ownership of a product owner, it depends upon the company and the project. In whatever form, the product owner is a voice of customer. He represents the customer and ensures that this particular product satisfies the customer and generates customer delight. Product owner also takes the team through various phases till the deployment is completed. Storming, you must have heard of this. Storming, norming, forming, and performing. So these are various phases where from the beginning till the end, he's there as an overarching role, guiding and directing the teams. And then he ensures that the team follows the Agile principles. We know these principles. A chief product owner is responsible for specific strategic decisions with other product owners. There can be a hierarchy where you have a scaled Agile framework, or you have Scrum of Scrums, and various roles are performed by multiple product owners, and you can have a chief product owner that composes and tracks down the work from the higher level to a lower level to other product owners. It's a complex role and requires multifaceted competencies. Let's look at some of the roles and responsibilities of a typical product owner. So in the leadership area, the product owner envisions, establishes, and communicates a shared vision of what product has to be built, like what to do, right? And keeps intact against changing environments. He builds the fort and maintains the fort. There will be a lot of changes coming from customers or from internal teams, and he has to ensure that the entire project remains intact. And he implements the Agile Manifesto values and principles. Product owner motivates the team with a clear path and SMART goals. What are SMART goals? SMART, have you heard? Okay, I'll take a lighter moment too, okay? So, this is for guys. How many of you have told your wife, I really love you so much. I'll really make you happy one day. Anybody? Don't feel shy, come on, be honest. I tried it once. And what happened is she quickly checked on me, apply SMART. Specific. I need a necklace, measurable, 100,000 rands, attainable, achievable, that is A. Swarovski and Zara are open till 10 o'clock today, 10 p.m. Realistic, you have the bank balance. Time bound, let's do it in an hour. Now, so when you have a SMART goal, you basically, because when you measurement is very costly. If you don't link it to the goals for value of tracking the measurements to the goal, it's of no use. Better don't measure if you are not linking the measures to the goals. Many times we do measure because our quality people told us, or some ISO people told us, or we have to measure because it's a part of the routine. But then sometimes different projects can do different types of measurements which the product owner wants to track the goals. So measurements needs to be linked, and that's where the SMART goals are required. They should be aligned with the vision of the product owner, and the product owner commits to collaborate with the team and provide whatever is necessary to build the best possible product. He or she also prepares a project charter along with the purpose, goals, roles, responsibilities, approaches, priorities, alternative decisions, resource constraints, risks, assumptions, and DOR, DOD, that is definition of ready and done. He steers the project by tracking its budget, cost, and forecasting its progress. This is where his financial acumen also comes into picture, because he's got to think money. Investment has been made, and he has to see that these things are being tracked. He defines and maximizes the value of the product. What are the values that you can gain out of it? brand enhancements, image. If at all it's a new customer, you have to do a lot of work to penetrate into the customer and get the customer loyalty. Cost, building knowledge assets, human capital. And he leads the activities for planning and preparing for the product release involving various stakeholders. These were the leadership responsibilities. Coming to his tactical duties, he's fully involved in defining and describing requirements, new user stories, splitting bigger stories, elaboration of epics, themes, features into user stories that are granular enough to be achieved in a single sprint. He or she also specifies the acceptance or rejection criteria for user stories. Along with the Scrum Master, the product owner and the team develops an in-depth understanding of what needs to be done and what is the success criteria or the customer delight criteria which will satisfy the customer. PO is also solely responsible for establishing and grooming the product backlog. Define, describe, revise, prioritize, sequentialize the product backlog and leveraging the value of the work by the team. So these were the tactical duties. Coming to his participation. He conveys the vision, the goals, new user stories at the beginning of the sprint, and he champions the team and sometimes challenges the team. Sometimes the goals, things at times are different and the goals have to be stretched. And that's where he comes to motivate the team. He learns, engages, and informs the team with the feedbacks, lessons learned in sprint planning meetings, reviews, and retrospectives, and supports the Scrum Master and the team, definitely, but not babysitting. They are on their own, and it's more about motivation and directing them to reach the targets. He or she balances what to do with the Scrum Master and allows him to do the how part of it. Right? He inspects and reflects on the product progress at the end of every sprint and decides acceptance or rejection, and can change the course of the sprint if required. There is a significant change in the direction of the way the work has to be done. Let's look at some of the product owner key competencies. So, well, the knowledge, skill, and trade. The knowledge part says he should have a good knowledge and experience of domain, technology, engineering principles, product intricacies, and the type of customer and the customer needs. As a business analyst, he should be good at writing and splitting user stories, use cases, and software specifications, identifying the acceptance, rejection criteria. As a process champion, he should be effective and efficient change manager. You should know about the knowledge repository, what are the reusable artifacts in the process asset library, so that people can reuse them, saving time. And they should not reinvent the whole wheel. As a financial acumen, you should be good at numbers, understand costing. Finally, a project is profit injection. Project needs to, every project should contribute some value, either by revenue or by any other values that we discussed to the organization. So that's, finally, he has to leverage the value out of the project. Many times I have found that these are some of the gaps in the competencies of a product owner, like inadequate subject matter expertise. He does not know the subject or the domain. And that leads to difficult situations when the product owner loses the team control, leading to chaos or insecurity. And then you are off the vision and you cannot deliver the customer satisfaction. Some competencies with respect to skills of the product owner should be a very good communicator, very communicative, collaborative, I would say boundaryless communicator. Either way, listening and orating, and engage with the teams with patience, playfulness, experimentation, needs to understand the team. If they want to explore, take the lead, take the risk, allow them to explore. And he encourages creativity, innovation, and teams buy-in. This is important. Give them some freedom to explore. Good negotiator. He should be able to manage debates, discussions, convert conflicts to consensus, arguments to agreement, listen to the team. That is very important. A symbiotic leader, coach, guide, and a project director. planning is very important, and you should have proactive planning skills to save, to create a good schedule with some slags so the team can relax, give feedback, and create time for himself so that he or she is available for the whole team as and when required. You should be capable of managing sometimes multiple teams if the product size is pretty big. But I would not suggest more than 2 unless you are in the role of a chief product owner, which calls for more leadership and managerial capabilities. In terms of traits, you should be influential enough to establish long-term commitments with the Scrum Master and the team and the understanding of the product. You should be able to leverage skills and work from the team. A successful product owner is confident and enthusiastic, trusting the team, and the team should find him trustworthy. Amalgamation of a thought manager and the task manager. Think, talk, time, and task. These are 4 T's. So many times, first we talk, then we think, then we look, oh, there is no time, and then do something, the task. The other way around is, it's iterative, it's not a formula. First think, how much time do you have? Think according to the time. Look at the time, then do the task, and finally talk. So these are some of the various leadership traits, and product owners should be able to think and manage the task together. Some of the no-no traits of a product owner would be overworked product owner. As a chief, he has to give time. If he's overworked, we are going to elaborate on overworked and underpowered later in the coming slides. And overworked and underpowered product owners do not have time or power for decision making. He should not be an introvert or procrastinating person, over-delegating. Now we also hear things like partial, shared, stand-in, proxy, dummy product owners. These are isolated guys. It won't help. Okay, better hire a local product owner if at all you have too much of work. And then some of them gets into micromanagement, babysitting, which is again not required. So a product owner's playground talks about he has to manage all these things, activities, milestones. The responsibility can be of somebody else. He has a whole team who can do some of these things. Responsibilities are shared, but he has the ownership. So the key part is he looks at the team value and project charter, ensures that the items of project charters are followed. He's a personality player, understand the team people very, very well, and get the best out of them and keeping them motivated. This is a real difficult job. And solicit skills. The team has got many skills, and you need to utilize those skills. That only happens when you make the person feel comfortable, and that's where they give in their best. Let's discuss in brief some of the challenges. A product owner establishes the goals and the metrics and manage distributed teams, quality challenges, empowering oneself and the team, manage product backlog, product release, and innovate new ideas. So looking at, I'll use a balanced scorecard framework. This is many times we use it while sitting with senior management to set up the objectives and the goals for the team. So we start with the charter and the vision about what product has to be created. Then the team values what's important to us. Using these values, we are going to create it. What is the strategy and the game plan? What are the initiatives and priorities? Then design the product backlog, grooming, and translate them into sprint backlogs, and then do it. Sprint reviews, feedbacks, and improvements. That is a plan, do, check, act, PDCA cycles. And finally, empower the team. Team does have personal goals. You have to align them with the team goals. Else the team gets diverse. You can't focus. And finally, the product owner has to satisfy the stakeholders, delighted customers, efficient and effective processes, and motivate a Scrum team. So this is the triangle. It comes from starting the vision to coming down. And on the basis of this, he's going to define a strategy. So he gets some goals from the corporate scorecard. So there are 4 pillars. One is finance. There are objectives, long-term objectives, To track these objectives, there are measures, there are targets, and then the initiatives. From finance, it comes down to customer. To satisfy the customer, you should have strong internal processes. And to have strong internal processes, you need to have a capable and competent team, a learning team, which can take care of this. So from the organization goals, he translates to the department goals to a particular project scorecard. And that's where he fits this particular project with the goals fits into the strategy-focused organization. It can look like this, like these are the project goals from the financial point of view: improve profits, revenue, efficiency. Some of the customer goals that you want: improve customer confidence in our products or customer satisfaction. These are the internal processes which are required to satisfy the customer, and then you satisfy the customer, it satisfies your financial objectives. And to perfectly do these internal processes, you need a team, a capable team with increased productivity, competencies. So where to invest? If you want to get money here, he needs to invest in these areas. And this is a systematic way. This is one of the ways. There are many ways of doing it. We don't have time. But we have used Six Sigma. We have used balanced scorecard, quantitative methods to set up a specific paradigm or a framework where you can look at the vision till the metrics. And from here, you identify what are the key significant areas and then set up the project objectives with the metrics which will fit the goals. You can set up these metrics like velocity, defects, revenue, ROI, reduce rework, story completion and acceptance ratio, etc. And then once you get these metrics, the vision set by the product owner translate into strategy and then into SMART goals: specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time bound. So then you, with these objectives, you start measuring, have targets, indicators, milestones, and then this is time bound, where you decide this is what we are going to do it in future sprint cycles. Another challenge is distributed teams. So co-location is very important. If at all you have distributed teams and a distance product owner, he is separated from the team. The challenges are mistrust, miscommunication, misalignment, and slow progress. Cause? Well, no face-to-face conversation, and that's a gap, right? Skype and other methods do work, but still, being present along with the team in the same room is a different story. Avoid co-locating, and if at all co-location is not an option, PO should spend maximum time possible in the same room with the team to plan the sprint reviews and retrospective meetings and address issues. And sometimes it may also require hiring a local product owner. Quality challenges. Create a defect-free and acceptable product. Use automated testing, parallel testing. There are various testing tools and methods available today. Continuous build the product to avoid the tunnel effect. Early detection of gaps, compliances, deviations, defects. Remedies. You can have an online health reporting system. There are various dashboards available, and you can use one of these methods to actually get immediate status of the progress, ensure process compliance, and go an extra mile to achieve customer delight. That's where he has to work with the team, collaborate with stakeholders, and work with the customers. Another challenge is empowerment, self and the team. Well, an underpowered product owner struggles to perform effectively and efficiently. Sometimes the sponsorship is not coming from the right level or right person. There is lack of empowerment, decision-making authority, management attention, or trust. And the person has to consult many times the seniors for every major decision and struggles to align with the Scrum team, stakeholders, and customers. This causes delays and erodes the team's confidence in the product owner. Ensure, as a remedy, that the product owner is fully empowered to make. He has authority and responsibility both, is fully empowered and receives support and trust from the right levels in the organization. And the other type of product owner is overworked PO, is compatible with the Agile Manifesto's concept of sustainable pace. Causes inadequate time to perform the role, maybe he's controlling multiple teams which he cannot, inadequate support from the team, and inadequate competencies. We saw the list of competencies. If there are some gaps, then they will show up, and you'll always find him busy. Consequences. He becomes a bottleneck, limiting the project's progress, neglects the product backlog grooming, and he misses the important meetings with the teams. Not available for team discussions because, again, lack of time. This delays in the progress of work. Avoid PO with multiple competing responsibilities. A good scenario is one PO, one product, one team. Managing product backlog, we already talked about it. He grooms the product backlog items. He splits and plans high level to low level backlog items. A good, I found, INVEST acronym, that is, he should design the product backlog where items are independent, negotiable, valuable, estimatable, small, and testable. Product release, that's where the final thing happens. The release criteria can be quality, functionality, process compliance, and technical performance. And the seeds of successful release are in planning. So very early during the planning phase, you need to identify exit criteria. Is an MVP defined? Minimal viable product. Have the Scrum teams laid out to visualize the workflow of delivery of the MVTs. So has the business leadership signed up to the MVP with delivery time frame? So these are some of the risks also while releasing. Innovate initiatives. So some of the good things that a product owner can initiate is aggregate information in dashboards, organize trainings and workshops by winners, conduct innovative unlearning workshops, perform comfort-breaking exercise to enhance versatility, and institute ambassadors to institutionalize the best practices across the organization, newsletters, blogs, appreciations, rewards to motivate the team, prototype innovative tools as required, and share his insights throughout the company and various stakeholders. And then use another analytical methods to practice Gemba walk, MBWA. There are various methods that we have seen in Agile. There are several challenges to hinder the progress of the project. So team lack understanding of process architecture, excessive process improvement overheads, inadequate visibility of the process improvement plan, and unrealistic process improvements, delayed process, this delayed PAL releases, process as library with reusable artifacts. So as and when you update the PAL, people get new ideas earlier and faster. So improvement alternatives, still the PO keeps on looking, what should I improve? There are so many things to improve, right? Employee turnover, margins, compliance. So he has to do a decision making, and some of the analytical methods he can use either by surveys or feedbacks. He can use a team feedback to identify what are the good rated items and spread it across the organization. There are problem areas to identify where we need to improve. Well, these were the 7 different challenges that the product owner has. Finally, who makes the difference? The product owner, Scrum Master, or the team? Not a good question. Let me share a lighter moment. In previous Olympics, India won some medals, and most of them were by men. So there was a belief, right? The belief goes like this, that men win most of the medals. Another belief, behind every successful man, there is a woman. So they were feeling happy about it. This Olympics, the first 5 medals won were by women, all of them. Okay. So this is a real WhatsApp message I got day before yesterday. Indian female Olympians are dominating in this Olympics. A perfect slap to the male-dominating Indian society. So a lot of these messages came up. One day later, the news came that all the coaches of these winning females were males, ex-Olympians who have won various awards. So another message started coming. After seeing great leadership of Indian coaches at Olympics, one thing is proven, that if women listen to men, they can achieve wonders. Okay, this is something really real. I can show this to you in my mobile right now. And I just picked it, I added it yesterday night. So it's basically, whichever is the sport or whatever we are doing, it's always a combination of the team, the captain, and the coach, right? Okay, so summarizing, 8D success framework, if you apply it to agile projects, you need to have a dream and desire which should be embedded in your product vision. It should be followed by a strong determination, which is there in the project charter, direction from Agile Manifesto, discipline is embedded in your principles and values, various decisions have to be taken, designing the product backlog and several other things, it goes into the how-to part of it, deploy, and finally drive to destination, that is the product release and the customer delight. So in summary, this is, I could just, well, in the limited time, I could put across the challenges and the role of the product owner. Do you see any other challenges of the product owner? Any quick ones? Okay, I value your feedback. These are some of the references and reading and credits. Thank you very much for your time. And you can write to me in case required. I don't know if we have time for questions or we take it in the break.
No, unfortunately not. But you can take it outside. I mean,
Sure.
you can connect with Hitesh, but thank you so much. That was valuable information. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you.